Welcome to This Explainer. In an age where we're constantly chasing the next app update or instant delivery, it's easy to forget what happens when we just slow down. Today, we're heading out onto the sparkling waters of a New Hampshire lake to look at the profoundly human story of William Bill Harper. He's an 84-year-old mailboat captain who has spent his entire career navigating our increasingly automated world with a steadfast, completely analog boat.
62. Just think about that simple number for a second. 62. It represents something absolutely monumental. That is the staggering amount of consecutive summers Captain Bill has completed his delivery route. Through changing times, shifting tides, you name it, for over 6 decades he hasn't missed a single season. Not one.
We really have to ask ourselves this question, especially right now. We live in an era where, let's be honest, we expect everything to arrive instantly at our doorsteps. But what does it take to show up, year after year, delivering not just physical items, but consistency and hope?
And this right here perfectly illustrates the core tension of our story. On one hand, you've got the modern standard, the cold, impersonal speed of drones promising faster drops and instant messages hitting your phone in fractions of a second. But contrasted against all that speed is the warm, deliberate pace of Bill's little white mailboat pulling up to an island dock. It's a true testament to 62 summers of hard-earned trust.
Section 1. The Morning Routine. Let's step right onto the docks with Bill before the sun even comes up. His routine follows this strict, almost rhythmic beat. At 5:15 a.m., while the mist is literally still drifting across the quiet lake, Bill's out there unlocking the boathouse. By sunrise, he's methodically loading canvas mail bags, small packages, and fresh newspapers right onto the deck. And as the morning fully breaks, the engine kicks over with this gentle rumble, and the boat slowly pulls away from shore. Honestly, it's a masterclass in sheer dedication. And the engine that actually drives this whole early morning routine, it's this beautiful sentiment. Every morning, someone's waiting for good news. Bill doesn't just see himself as some guy moving paper from point A to point B. No way. He deeply understands that his cargo is far heavier and far more meaningful than that. Section 2, More Than Just Mail. Shifting from the physical boat for a second, we really need to look at what happens when Bill arrives at these tiny wooden piers. As he guides the boat house by house, dock by dock, his deliveries are an absolute lifeline. We're talking about families whose island homes remain completely accessible by road. So yeah, he's tossing fresh newspapers perfectly onto porches, but he's also handing life-saving medicine directly to elderly residents, dropping off weeknight groceries, and sometimes he's just offering a friendly wave to someone who really needs it. Let this bit of wisdom sink in for a moment. The mail is only half of what I deliver. That mindset perfectly sets up an unforgettable autumn day that proved his point in a pretty dramatic way. So here's the crucial point. Bill's decades-long familiarity with his route allowed him to notice a dangerous break in a neighbor's daily pattern. One autumn, he noticed that an elderly widow hadn't collected her mail for 2 days. Now, to an automated system, that's just a data point, uncollected mail. But to Bill, that was a glaring, flashing red flag. Look at how he handled this. First, he notices the mail. Second, instead of just logging it and moving on to keep his schedule, he actually docks his boat and walks up to knock on her door. Third, he discovers she had slipped on the stairs and couldn't reach her phone. Because of that choice, he was able to ensure help arrived in time. By just slowing down and taking the time to check on her, Bill didn't just deliver the mail that day. The community will tell you he delivered a second chance at life. Section 3. Reading the water. To understand how Bill cultivated this kind of incredible split-second awareness, we have to look back at the generational wisdom passed down to him. Bill didn't learn this route by staring at a screen. As a teenager, he got his education working summers alongside his father, who was actually the original captain of this exact route. His dad navigated these waters way before GPS was even a thought, teaching Bill to observe nature instead of a dashboard. And it's fascinating how these tactile, analog methods of reading the environment directly translate to how carefully he reads the people on his route. His father taught him to read the wind, read the clouds, and read the ripples on the water. When you learn to pay that much attention to the subtle shifts in nature, well, it's no wonder you notice when a neighbor hasn't picked up her mail in 2 days, right? Bill carried these words from his father for the rest of his life. If you respect the lake, it'll guide you home. I'd actually encourage you to pause and think about that for a second.
What does reading the water and respecting your environment look like in your own profession or daily life? What subtle ripples might you be missing because you're just moving too fast? Section 4. One last crossing. As retirement approaches at 84, Bill enters his final season, preparing to pass down his life's work. A college student joins him as a deckhand, expecting to just learn some practical boating skills. But instead, Bill teaches her the deeper philosophy of the lake. Every dock has a story. Every customer has a routine. Every wave means something. He imparts this profound lesson. You're not serving addresses, you're serving neighbors during a really special ritual. After the final delivery, he takes a polished wooden wheel from an old retired mailboat displayed in his boathouse, and he places it directly into the young deckhand's hands. He's officially passing the torch. And that final route, it's literally something out of a storybook. Knowing retirement was near, the community responded. Families gathered on their docks to greet him. Kids held up handmade thank you signs. Some folks even left fresh cookies sitting on the mailbox posts for him. Every single stop on his sunset voyage back to the harbor felt like a massive celebration of old friends returning his decades of kindness. Never measure this job by miles. Measure it by the smiles waiting at every dock. This was his final piece of advice to the young deckhand as she held that wooden wheel with quiet pride. It perfectly encapsulates a 62-year legacy. It was never about the distance traveled, it was always about the human connection waiting at the end of the journey. Steering the boat back toward the harbor one final time, the water glowing gold beneath the evening sky, Bill shares this thought. People think I delivered letters, but all my life, I carried friendship, comfort, and hope across the water, one stop at a time. As his little white mailboat leaves a gentle wake stretching across the still water, we realize that while tomorrow brings a new captain, the ripples of Bill's impact will remain permanently etched into this community.
I want to leave you with this thought to reflect on today. In a world completely optimized for speed, who are the people around you optimized for care? Who is the captain delivering hope in your community? I encourage you to recognize and perhaps thank the quiet, dedicated people anchoring your own neighborhood. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep looking out for those everyday captains.